swimming, and it'll record our conversation as well, and it'll also record any clips and examples that I show you.
Okay.
And then I'll burn it to disk, and you get a copy of it.
Yeah.
So you don't need to remember any of this stuff, because you'll get a copy of what we're going through now anyway. All right. So we had a chat beforehand, and you said you'll do 40 odd links in an hour, and you can keep going all day long. But you're wondering why people can go faster than you in the in the pool. What do you think it could be? What do you think is the possible thing that could be slowing you down?
Well, is it possible that I can only breathe on one side? So I don't know if it's a problem or not.
Okay.
Because I tried on the other side and I can't.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's maybe what I do with my hand, potentially. I think I'm doing okay with my feet.
Okay.
Fine with my leg and my feet, but I think maybe it's just the way I go in the water with my hands. I don't know. I'm only thinking about those two elements. I can't think about any. Or maybe my body movement. Do I need to move? I don't know, because I think I'm quite. I see some people, they move their body a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All that you just said makes complete sense. Okay. And you're only breathing on one side. And generally, if you don't like to breathe to the other side, it's because you're not rotating enough to get the space to breathe.
Yeah.
So certainly rotation. When I say rotation, it's your body should rotate in the water to 45 to 60 degrees each time you take a stroke. And that, the height as you rotate, gives you the height to bring the arm over the top, gives you the space to breathe. If you're flat in the water, then your arm has to come round the side, because it can't physically go over the top, and you're face down in the water. So you have to lift your head to breathe. As soon as somebody lifts their head, their legs drop, and then they slow down. Okay. So the kind of things that you're talking about are quite correct. So we'll have a look at your breathing. We'll have a look at your the head position, and on the footage in a minute, we'll have a look at what your body position is like in the water. When we're talking about improving people's swimming, there's two main elements. There's how much drag is there? We want to reduce the drag, so your body traveling through the water. And what's the propulsion like? We want to try and improve the propulsion. They're the two main kind of component parts, if you like. For most people who are struggling with speed and might consider themselves to be a little bit slow, then it's normally a drag issue rather than a propulsion. So we deal with the drag first. Yeah. And we can kind of add. It's like you add the motor on afterwards to the arms and the propulsion. Yeah. So let's have a look. So we start by having a look at your head position. And your head position isn't too bad. When I talk about your head position, how much of your face we can see? Okay. See quite a lot. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's actually not too bad, but we can see your full face, and we can actually see what's interesting here is your mouth is wide open. Now that gives us a clue as to something else that might be happening. All right, you might be holding your breath, which means you're gasping. Do you feel that if you swim a little bit quicker, do you feel a little bit short of breath, a little bit anxious maybe sometimes?
A bit, yeah. I struggle if I try to go too fast.
Okay, we'll have a look at that in a minute. That might be a clue. Okay, so.
It's interesting vision of me.
Yeah. In fact, while this is on here, I'll just show you what your head should look like. Okay, so it should be. Ideally, we're looking for one goggle in the water, one goggle out when we turn to breathe. So you literally, one goggle stays that low, the water is still there. Okay.
Did you open your mouth? Or?
Well, what we call it is, where is it? Popeye.
You try to be funny and open your mouth just on your half of it?
Popeye, like that, yeah. Like, exactly, it's Popeye breathing. It's like Popeye?
Yeah.
Chewing at spinach on the side of his mouth. That's exactly what it's called.
So
it's called the Popeye.
I have to work on my mouth now.
There we go. Look, I'm not making it up. Look, Popeye. So what I'm trying to show you here is, can we see here this bow wave that forms around the head? Okay. So when he eventually turns to breathe, his head stays low. You see?
Okay, it's only half the face, I see.
So he's got his mouth over to one side, giving himself an extra little bit of space. Now, the reason I point the bow wave out is because the bow wave comes round the head, and then it actually drops down, and then comes back up again here, and it creates a little trough for you to breathe into. So keeping your head lower actually creates a little bit of extra space. It's kind of counterintuitive,
Does
really.
he have an angle with his face as well? As long as his head being straight, it looks like it's...
No, it's straight. It'll be straight.
Is it? Okay.
With his straight in line with the rest of his spine, if that's what you're talking about. So, yeah. So you turn your head to breathe, you keep your head low. All right. Now, there might be a reason for you feeling the need to lift a little bit higher. We'll have a look at that next. But that's what we want to try and aim for. Okay?
So my legs, they must be...
We'll have a look at those in a minute. Okay, so the next thing I'm looking at really is, and this is related to what you said about when you said the way your arms enter the water. Have you heard of crossing over?
No.
Okay. So if you look at where that arm is travelling, so I'm just going to move you over a bit. If you look at the way that arm is travelling, look at where your hand is headed. Your hand is coming straight past your forehead, and it's kind of heading over to the other side of the pool. That's the direction of travel. It's going that way. Okay? Just kind of hold that thought for a second. So as your hand enters the water, your forearm is actually going over that way. It's not going the way you're travelling. Okay? And this one, so this is the side, you only breathe to the right. Yeah? This is the side. You know, I said if you don't rotate enough, you have to bring the arm around the side. That was one of the first things I noticed with you, is this arm comes right the way around the side, look. Yeah? And that is because you're not rotating very far to that side. All right. So round the side there, and then it enters the water.
Oh my gosh, it looks terrible.
Yeah, so this side you breathe, look how high your shoulder is, how high your elbow is. Your hand comes up over the top and spears in. The left-hand side swings around the side.
See, it feels like I'm swimming like that, no?
Two, yeah. Yeah, so one's over the top, one's around the side. One's over the top, one's around the side. Yeah. We can deal with that. Okay, so now
oh my gosh, it feels like
you realise your legs are that low in the water?
No, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I'm so conscious that I really thought that I was straight in the water, and because I know I have to be straight, so I thought I was, and I didn't know I was so low.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so, and that's one of the things with swimming, and that's the beauty of video, is that you can think you're doing one thing when the reality is sometimes quite different. Okay, and when we talk about drag, all this is drag. Okay, that's why you're not going very quickly, because your legs are pulling along. Right? Now, some of this, your legs are low in the water from the surface there, partially because you're lifting your head up. It's like a seesaw. You lift your head up to breathe, your legs drop. Okay. Okay. So now, I said about that hand spearing in across the forehead, and kind of heading over sideways. Here we can start to see it, and we'll see it even more so when we look from above. Your main, just to kind of give you where I'm coming at with this, your main thing that we need to look at is getting you straight in the water.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things going sideways and not so much going forwards. Okay? And that's ultimately, we want everything to be going in the direction of travel. So that hand comes in, and you can see it's pulling a load of water down, a load of air down, and it's coming towards me, almost, if you know what I mean. It's coming this way. And that pull back is not too bad. So by the time you get to there, you're pulling back quite nicely. And then you're taking a breath. So your head is right out of the water and pushing down. So a lot of this is related. So what you get with swimming is if you fix one thing here, very often it will tidy things up along the chain. Does that make sense? So, for example, if we look at your breathing and we can get your head lower, then it'll help the legs move up. So some coaches might get you to work on the legs, whereas normally it's something to do further along the chain. It's cause and effect. So what I'm looking at here is what's happening with your recovering arm as it comes into the water. So this hand here, as it enters the water, so let's take you back to. If you look at what happens to the hand here, what's the palm of the hand doing? Which way is it going? So it's going that way. It's pushing down. Okay? And of course, what makes you go forwards is things pushing backwards. You don't get any propulsion from pushing downwards. What happens if you push down the front there? Push down at the front, it pushes the chest up. Pushes the chest up. Chest comes up, your legs come down. So it's something else making your legs go down a bit. And then there's that recovering hand spearing in and coming this way. Now, this might all sound like bad news, but what's actually quite good about this is a lot of these faults are very closely linked and they can be picked up with a few key drills, which we'll go through in a second. So what I want to take you to now is, in fact, I want to see if you're holding your breath. Let's take it back to here. So you've taken a breath there. Just want to see if you're holding the breath. Not be able to see, maybe. Oh no, you're breathing out.
No, I do breathe out in the water.
Yeah, okay, you're breathing out. There's quite a lot coming out at the end. So you're breathing out, trickling out, and then as you're starting to turn to breathe, you're starting to breathe out a lot. And what can happen then is you're breathing out and in, quick succession. So you're reducing your window down for you to breathe in, the time window for you to breathe in. It doesn't look too bad, actually. I can see you breathing out. Okay, that's fine.
Well, there's something positive.
It's good, yeah. Okay, so this is where we're really going to see get to the crux of what we need to work on with you. Okay. I'm looking at alignment here, and when I say alignment, okay, take a few strokes. Is we want everyone. You want to be swimming as though you're swimming in tram lines almost. So everything is going the way you're traveling. Now, what we've got here is we know this arm is swinging around the side here, and right the way around the side, and that's swinging around the side, and then it's kind of, if you look at the way it's kind of pointing over that way. Okay. I'll give you an example in a minute to compare it against. And then your recovering arm, so the arm that's coming over the water, if you look what happens with this one. Yeah? So we're heading over this way. So you kind of got one over there.
It's like I'm zigzagging in the water.
Yeah, so that's called crossing over. Right. Now what happens here is because of the way you're kind of almost twisting in the body, in the water, you're not straight, that's causing your legs to physically open right up. Okay, and again, it's like a parachute, it just slows you down. Now, if I show you what we should be trying to achieve, it's always good to see comparisons because you can visualize what we're talking about. You okay? You warm enough?
Yeah.
Where are we?
It's quite a nice walk,
It's nice and quiet, isn't it? Okay.
Oh.
So have you heard of Rebecca Adlington?
No, I don't know any swimmers.
Okay, all right. Rebecca Adlington is double Olympic gold medalist.
Okay.
So she's pretty good.
Well, I think, yeah, she must be.
Okay, so if I try and find footage of her from above. I can't really see her from above actually. I'll show you somebody else in a minute. And what we can see from this angle, I know it's a different angle, but I'll show you something else, is she's spearing in. If you look at how straight she is in the water, that arm enters the water and extends in front of the shoulder. Okay, it doesn't kind of go over sideways. And this is interesting actually. When she turns to breathe, her hand is still out the front. Okay, so let's take you back a second. You don't have any hand here.
No.
Okay, that hand is already gone, which means you lose support at the front, which means you have a tendency to kind of sink at the front end a little bit. See, when you're turning to breathe, your arm is down here. Okay, that lead arm there is what gives you the support to breathe. If it's not there, you have to lift your head up to get the breath. What I'll show you. Okay, this is what we're looking for here. This is another Olympian, so he's pretty good as well. Okay, so if we take you back. So if we watch his recovering hand, comes over, spears in front of his hand, in front of his shoulder up, straightens up, more or less in front of his shoulder. Okay. Recovering arm comes over, spears in, dead straight. So if we play that in full speed,
It looks pretty straight.
yeah,
I can understand
super straight,
good.
super straight.
That's a really good video.
It's outside. That's what happens when you film things in the daylight. It makes so much difference to the quality of the footage. Okay, so what I'm trying to show you here is we need to get you straightened up in the water. So if we play you...
It looks ridiculous.
It's different, isn't it? You know, it's plain to see.
It's a different style.
Yeah.
I understand why I haven't had any medals yet.
And this is interesting actually, because what's happening is you're sweeping right underneath the body, see? Rather than pulling through. So if you try and think about this, that hand should enter the water in front of the shoulder, should extend in front of the shoulder, and then as you rotate, should pull through under the shoulder. It should always be in line with the shoulder. Now, if you look at his here, spears in, pulls down, in line with the shoulder, and then it's back over the top. Okay. So we need to straighten you up. Okay. If we straighten you up, it will straighten up your legs. Okay. It'll get you low. Hopefully get your head lower in the water, which will get your legs up as well. Yeah. Right. So the drills we're going to do today. You mentioned your fins. You've got small fins. Ideally, I'll go and get my box out of the car. I'll show you the fins that you're better off using. Okay? Because with those fins, you have to kick quite hard to get some propulsion. Yeah, the fins. You have to kick quite hard to get the propulsion. So the fins that I recommend that you get are these slightly longer ones. They're almost like scuba diving fins. They give you much more propulsion.
Okay, I have some.
You have some, do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I have the one for scuba diving. It's a very long one.
Well, I'll show you then. I'll show you what they're like. You can have a look. So what this is doing here is getting you used to swimming on your side with your arm out front and nice and straight in the water. That's all you're doing. Turning to breathe. Nice and relaxed. That's as simple as that. Kicking on the side. Get used to having your shoulder blades back because it's getting your shoulder blades.
What does he do to the arm? Is
Just on its side. Just on its side, yeah. I'll go through this with you.
Oh gosh, it's impossible. It's really difficult, no?
But with the propulsion from the fins, that's why the fins are important. Because it allows you to focus on what you're trying to do with the drill rather than trying to keep yourself above the water, on the surface of the water. So we're going to do kick on the side.
Yeah.
Right? Starting to get you straight in the water. And then a progression from that. And you'll see the way we're going with this. Kick on the side again. And then we introduce a stroke and roll onto the other side. Mm-hmm. And of course, what you have to do with this, you have to breathe on both sides. All right. But if you look at him, he's completely on his side. And as we know, you don't like breathing to that side because look how flat you are in the water. When you breathe on the other side, you rotate. When you're not breathing to the other side, if you like, you're completely flat in the water. So this drill will get you used to being on your side, the other side, the side that you're not used to being on the side with link. Okay, so kicking on your side, and then you take a single stroke, roll onto the other side, get yourself straight in the water again. Okay. Then 6-3-6. And this, when I say six refers to kicks, so it's meant to be kick, 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 stroke, kick, 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 6 kicks and then a stroke. That's why it's called 6-1-6, 6-3-6. Doesn't matter how many kicks it is really. The main thing is that you have a pause on your side. So, and here we're starting to build it up to more like normal swimming. So we do 3 strokes in a row. And we're constantly working on keeping it nice and in alignment. All right. Just think what else we would do. I think what we'll also do, if we get time, is we'll have a look at sculling. So that's with a pull buoy. He's got a pull buoy in between his legs.
Okay.
And the idea of sculling is you just get used to having your hands in this position. Because at the moment, you're pushing down, pushing straight down. Whereas if you spear in, when you recover the arm over the water and you enter the water here, this is the position we want to be in so that we can start the catch. All right. So it trains you into being in that position and not letting the elbows drop and push down. All right. So that's what sculling does. And then we probably won't have time to do this, but I'll show you anyway. But the next drill you would do after that would be doggy paddle. And this is a bit like front crawl, but you don't recover the arms over the surface of the water. It takes a bit getting used to, but the idea of this is it gets you used to pulling through nice and neatly under the water, beneath your shoulder, so you're constantly getting used to being in this motion, rather than as you're kind of doing, is kind of almost going too far over. So they're all little they're kind of putting the building blocks in place for you to improve the stroke. Does that make sense? What we've kind of gone through. Okay. But I think for the main thing today then, we're going to look at your alignment, try and get you nice and straight in the water. Get you straight in the water, then we can start to improve the propulsion.
I have the same problem in a golf alignment.
In what?
In golf.
Yeah? You do? Oh, you do? Oh, do you? Yeah. What's your flexibility like in your shoulders?
I don't know. I think it's okay.
Okay. We'll do a test in a minute.
Okay.
We'll do a test in a minute. Because sometimes if you're people who are on computers or phones a lot or work at a desk,
no,
because their shoulders can become a little bit.
I'm
No, you don't look like that at all. We'll have a look. We'll have a look. So that's what we're going to spend most of our time on
that's
today.
funny that I have the same problem to sports.
That doesn't surprise me at all. Very often things like this will be the same, and also it carries things like this are normally genetic. So if you see a mother and a daughter swim, very often swim very similarly, brothers and sisters,
Yeah.
very similar.
Okay.
All sorts of stuff like that. So right, I'm going to switch this off then. You got any questions or anything?
No.
No? Should we crack on?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.